G'day everyone and welcome back to another 32 builds video. Previously we cleaned up the interior side of the firewall, which allowed us to reinstall the steering column along with the foot controls, bringing us one step closer to being ready to start the engine again. In this episode, let's get it started again. First off, we'll need to give the driveshaft our regular treatment. This is the final mechanical component stopping us from getting power from the motor to the rear wheels. Prior to removing the driveshaft, it's a good idea to scribe or mark the joint where the driveshaft meets the differential so that it can be reinstalled in the same orientation. The reason being, driveshafts are balanced by specialists to reduce excess vibrations and to keep those U-joints healthy. So wire wheel, rust converter, etch primer, then paint. I'll be using a rattle can with satin black paint for the U-joints and a thicker subframe paint applied with a brush for the entire length of the shaft. This will protect it against most rock chips while driving. Easy peasy lemon squeezy, my shaft has now got protection, along with new hardware to keep things fresh. Now the shaft goes into the rear of the transmission. The other end bolts up to the front of the differential. Next, let's get some fluids in the car. The engine and the diff both have oil in it, so that leaves the transmission. Let's crack that transmission fuel plug and be on our way. All you need is an adjustable wrench to fit over the square style fuel plug. All you need is vice grips and a hammer to fit over the square style fuel plug. All you need is to cut a hole in your transmission tunnel to get a bolt extractor over the fuel plug. And then all you need is a welder to weld a nut on top of the square style fuel plug. So the weld just twisted off and it's really hard to get a nice weld in there. So all you need is to remove the transmission from the car to weld a fat socket over the fuel plug. While the transmission is out, I'll install the gear which drives the Speedo cable. This will ensure no oil escapes from that hole. Time to fill the transmission with oil through the transmission access hole. Since I've got a 3D printer, in the future I'll make a trick grommet for this hole out of polyurethane filament. Now let's work on some of the other fluids, coolant and fuel plumbing. Down the line I'll be running an electric heater for the demister. So I'll be plugging up the return port from the heater core as well as the outlet on the back of the cylinder head. This will probably be replaced by a proper BSP threaded plug on my next coolant change. I've also decided to run a filter basket on the return coolant hose to avoid any nastiness clogging up my new radiator, at least in the beginning while the coolant jackets clear up. I'm making up a new fuel line out of 1/4" stainless steel piping. This runs from the mechanical fuel pump to the carburetor. The rest of the fuel system will have to come in the future. My original alternator was fried, and I haven't figured out the situation for that yet. So for the time being, the main pulley will be directly connected to the water pump and fan pulley with a piece of packing string. The car sounds a bit rattly over the microphone, but all that sound is coming from the stuff in the back of the ute. I'm gonna have to play with the engine settings in small sprints, cause I reckon she's running rich at the moment and the whole basement fills up with smoke. The motor consistently cuts out after about 2 minutes, and I'm guessing I'm gonna have to play around with the air-fuel mixture or sort out my vacuum lines. Until I can get the motor up to running temperature, I can't really bleed the cooling system or dial in my carby and distributor. I didn't get her driving in this video, but this is definitely a memorable milestone in the Datsun 1200 build. Till next time, peace.